Hi, welcome back to What's On At Oor Hoose, episode 7. I'm really looking forward to continuing our journey through the music and some memories of the 1970s. But first, I've got to take us all on a trip in a time machine and take us back again to this mid-60s because I really messed up. I missed out a band I really feel is due a tribute. The Kinks. I've loved them for years, as I know many of you have. Now, Ray Davies is one of Britain's treasured songwriters. And along with his brother Dave, even with all their infighting that went on, they created some brilliant songs. But Ray was the writer. Because of Ray's observational style of songwriting, it lent itself to relaying stories and impressions of his life in the north of London. They were regarded as one of the most influential bands of the 60s. They introduced a much grittier sound in 1963 and 4 than what people had been used to, giving us big hits like You've Really Got Me.
Taxman's taken all my dough and left me in my stately home, blazing on a sunny afternoon. And I can't sail my yacht, he's taken everything I got. All I've got's this sunny afternoon. Save me, save me, save me from this squeeze. I got a big fat mama trying to break me, and I love to live so pleasantly, live this life of luxury, blazing on a sunny afternoon. Summertime, in the summertime, in the summertime. My girlfriend's run up with my car and gone back to her Now I'm sitting here, sipping at my ice cold beer, blazing on the sunny afternoon. Help me, help me, help me sail away. Well, give me two good reasons why I ought to stay. 'Cause I love to live so pleasantly, live this life of luxury, blazing on a sunny afternoon in the summertime. I met her in a club down in Old Soho, where you drink champagne and it tastes just like cherry cola. Signore Cola. She walked up to me and she asked me to dance. I asked her her name and in a dark brown voice she said Lola. Hello, hello, Lola. La 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 Lola. Well, I'm not the world's most physical guy, but once you squeeze me tight, you nearly broke my spine. Oh my Lola. La 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 Lola. Well, I'm not dumb, but I can't understand why she walk like a woman and talk like a man. Oh my Lola. La 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 Lola. La 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 Lola. Well, we drank champagne and danced all night under electric candlelight. She picked me up and sat me on her knee, said, "Little boy, won't you come on with me?" Well, I'm not the world's most passionate guy, but when I looked in her eyes, then I almost fell for my Lola. La 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 Lola. La 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 Lola. Pushed her away. I walked to the door. I fell to the floor. I got down on my knees. I looked at her, she and me. That's the way that I wanted to stay, and I always wanted to be that way for my Lola. Lola, Lola, Lola. Girls will be boys and boys will be girls. It's a mixed up, muddled up, shook up world. Except for Lola. La 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 Lola. Well, I left home just a week before, and I'd never ever kissed a woman before. But Lola smiled, took me by the hand, said, "Little boy, I'm gonna make you a man." Well, I'm not the world's most masculine man, but I know what I am, and I'm glad I'm a man. So is Lola. La 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 Lola. La 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 Lola.
I just feel so much better now that I've done that. Back then, my life was enriched when I met my dear friend Jenny. Now, Jenny was the most caring person you could ever hope to meet, and as beautiful on the inside as she was on the out, and is in the out. And that is saying something, because she was just gorgeous. But I will try not to embarrass her because she's also a pretty modest person. She and I had a mutual appreciation for nature and the great outdoors. We really loved our beautiful Scottish scenery. We took every opportunity we could to do daily excursions and managed to squeeze a few camping trips in along the way. I can still see her now diving from the top of the Land Rover into a very deep loch. She had no fear and was a brilliant swimmer.
We were born before the wind, also younger than the sun. Yeah, the bonnie boat was one as we sail into the mystic. Oh, I can now hear the sailors cry, smell the sea and feel the sky. Let your soul and spirit fly into the mystic. And where that foghorn blows, I will be coming home. Yeah, when the foghorn blows, I wanna hear it. I don't have to fear it, and I wanna rock your gypsy soul.
Now, like most of our friends, we also appreciated anything vintage. We liked the look, the feel, and the history that came with it. So we would get together with friends and go on digs. As most of you probably know, back in Edwardian times, all drinking receptacles and medicine containers were made of glass or ceramic or clay or pottery, earthenware or stoneware. Now, all of this stuff, if it was broken, it would just be swept out into the rubbish ditches, along with the straw and the horse manure and everything else. It was eventually dumped into the middens and then gradually distributed over areas, creating the early landfill sites. The broken crockery would be spread through the debris so that when the mass was buried, the crockery would act like drainage. So, in addition to the battles that have taken place over the centuries, where weapons and jewellery and all that crockery, that contributes to a rich wealth of history that is buried under the soil. Hence our digs. Even if you found something that was broken, it was kind of a thrill. I still have the things that I found. I brought them to Canada with me. I still use them to this day. And there's some images of things that my brother Charlie has dug up in local farmers' fields when they're in fallow. So it's pretty amazing. That takes us to 1974. We were gifted two great classics on TV that year. Rising Damp. Poor Alan, a very naive and cute university student lodger, had to endure very annoying but very funny landlord Rigsby. Richard Beckinsale, the part of Alan, so beautifully.
Look, if he wants to do some exercise, why doesn't he go out and kick a ball around?
I don't like football.
You don't like football? Our national sport? No. God, when I was your age, I was out every night playing football.
Good at it, were you?
Good, it was brilliant. If it hadn't been for the war, who knows? Might have been another Tommy Lawton.
Who's Tommy Lawton?
Who's Tommy Lawton? Only the finest centre forward that ever breathed, that's all.
Well, you can't compare him with players today.
Compare him with them? How could he make mincemeat out of that lot today? Have you seen him prancing around the field like a bunch of male models? Kissing and cuddling? God, listen, in my day when you scored a goal, all you got was a brisk handshake. Now you get covered in love bites. I tell you, they used to tackle hard then, you know, hard but fair. God, the full-backs used to come into you like butcher's dogs. If they caught you right, you know, you could end up at the back of the stand.
Aye. It were a man's game in them days.
It certainly was.
Aye, it were that, lad.
Aye. Are you two trying to be funny?
The second classic that I refer to is Porridge. What a brilliant sitcom that was. Richard, he played Lenny, and he was the cellmate of Norman Fletcher, geniusly played by Ronnie Barker. The chemistry between the two characters was brilliant. Richard Beckinsale was a really gorgeous looking guy, and everyone fell in love with him. Girls and guys, because his personality was so relatable. But Britain was saddened and shocked when he died of a heart attack at the age of 31. Now we can see his two girls, Samantha and Kate Beckinsale, on the big screen. Now, when I was 18 in 1972, my mum and I were at loggerheads, just as most teenage girls were with their mum. So when I said I was going to leave home, my mum said, "You walk out that door, you're never coming back again." My dad said, "The door will always be open." But my mum settled down, especially when she realised that she would see probably more of me since I moved out than she ever did when I lived at home. I showed up 3 times a week, just around dinner time, I believe. I had moved into a very large room in a farmhouse. It was a good 3 miles bike ride, and when I rode my bike at night when it had gotten dark, sheer fear inspired me to pedal my butt off, and I lost a ton of weight. I had moved into a big room in a farmhouse and loved looking out my large bay window, enjoying the scenery and chilling to bands like America. Despite the name, Jerry Beckley, Dewey Bunnell and Dan Peake were 3 young lads who knew each other through high school and all found themselves in London, England, where their Air Force dads were stationed. After finishing high school in 1969, they decided to take their teen band up to another level and really work. But it wasn't until they were inspired by Crosby, Stills and Nash that they started to write their own stuff and practice harmonizing. Over a few short years of gigging in pubs and clubs, they were opening for Pink Floyd and The Who. By 1971, when Beckley and Bunnell were only 19 and Peake, the old guy, was 21, they had a huge hit called Horse with No Name.
On the first part of the journey, I was looking at all the life. There were plants and birds and rocks and things. There was sand and hills and rain. The first thing I met was a fly with a buzz and the sky with no clouds. The heat was hot and the ground was dry, but the air was full of sound. I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. It felt good to be out of the rain. In the desert, you can't remember your name, 'cause there ain't no one for to give. Sometimes late when things are real and people share the gift of gab between themselves. Some are quick to take the bait and catch the perfect prize that waits among the shells. But Oz never did give nothing to the Tin Man that he didn't already have. And cause never was the reason for the
the Tropic of Sir Galahad. So please believe in me when I say I'm spinning round, 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 round. Smoke, glass, stain, bright curl, image going down, 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 down. Soap, sud, green, light pearl. Oh, Oz never did give nothing to the Tin Man that he didn't already have. And cause never was a reason for the evening or the Tropic of Sir Galahad. So please believe in me when I say I'm spinning round, 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 round. Smoke, glass, stain, bright color, image going down, 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 down. So sun, green, light color.
Well, I tried to make it Sunday, but I got so damn depressed that I set my sights on Monday and I got myself undressed. I ain't ready for the altar, but I do agree there's times when a woman sure can be a friend of mine. Well, I keep on thinking about you, sister golden hair surprise, and I just can't live without you. Can't you see it in my eyes? I've been one poor correspondent, and I've been too hard to find, but it doesn't mean you ain't been on my mind. Will you meet me in the middle? Will you meet me in the air? Will you love me just a little, just enough to show you care? Well, I tried to fake it, I don't mind saying I just can't make it.
Another album I listened to a lot was Breakfast Over America by Supertramp, a British 70s band founded by Roger Hodgson and Rick Davies. Their signature sound came from the electric piano. Here is Take the Long Way.
So you think you're Romeo, playing a part in a picture show? Well, take the long way home. Take the long way home. 'Cause you're the joke of the neighborhood. Why should you care if you're feeling good? Well, take the long way home. Take the long way home. There are times that you feel you're part of the scenery. All the greenery coming down, boy. And then your wife seems to think you're part of the furniture. Oh, it's peculiar. She used to be so nice. Lonely days turn to lonely nights. You take a trip to the city lights and take the long way home. Take the long way home.
When I was 19, I went to Stevenson's College in Edinburgh, and I loved it. We had the option of 4 different practical experiences of working in different locations. The first 3 were allocated to us. Now, my third one had been down Leith, and back then Leith was a pretty rough area, and it was an eye-opener. So, when I was able to choose my 4th placement, I asked if I could go to Craigmillar. For those of you who are local, you know that Craigmillar was a pretty rough area back then. It was kind of like the projects. So I remember my first day. I stepped off the bus and proceeded up a steep hill. At the top, I saw something in the middle of the road. It wasn't until it rolled down, barreling towards me, that I realized it was 3 kids straddling a couch on casters at the top of their lungs, having a grand old time. They were wild, but I couldn't help but laugh along with them. And that pretty well summed up what my 2 months at that placement was like. Now, the young lady who was running the placement was doing it pretty well single-handedly, and she was a devotee to Hare Krishna. I came to really respect her. That kind of reminds me, though, of a situation one day when I was in Edinburgh with my mum. Do any of you remember that time when the Edinburgh streets were totally filled with the Hare Krishna followers? I remember sitting on a bench, me and my mum just watching the Krishnas sing and dance past us. And my mum was so funny. She was always called quiet little Mrs. Hills, but she had a cracking sense of humour. Sometimes she could be funny without even trying. So she said, "Oh, I really wish that Charlie, who is my brother, would join something like that." I looked at her quizzingly, thinking, are we looking at the same thing? But then she explained, well, he'd have to get that bloody haircut. And that was your mum. Sorry, Charlie.
Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
We had a lot of fun. I can remember Jenny and myself and David and Moira and Neil and a whole bunch of other friends getting together, going up to a big dance place in Edinburgh and dancing our crazy heads off to David Bowie. He gave us fame in 1975. This was from the Young American album. The tune was built on a riff from Carlos Alomar, and in collaboration with John Lennon, John was goofing around repeatedly chanting, "Aim, aim? Bowie said he put an F in front of it, turning it into fame. Anyway, it was a great dance tune.
Fame makes a man take things over. Fame keeps him loose and hard to swallow. Fame puts him there where things are hollow. Fame is line, this mine is just as line, not to send a man to a crime. Fame Hey, what you want is in your limo. Hey, what you get is no tomorrow. Hey, what you need you have to borrow. Fame is not the flame, it's just this game. Never seen it totally inside. Fame Shabba-doo-da-day, shabba-dee-day. Shabba-doo. Shabba-dee-doo-da-day, shabba-dee-day. Shabba-doo. Is it any wonder I reject you first? Fame, 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 fame. Is it any wonder you're far too cool to fool? Fame, fame, bullet for you, chilling for me. Gotta get a rain check on pain. Fame. What's your name?
That takes me to the movies of that time. Well, it was all very experimental back then. We were really kind of poking the monster and, just seeing what would come out. Rocky Horror Picture Show, starring Tim Curry, featuring Susan Sarandon and Barry Bostwick, was quite a spectacle. It was a satirical tribute to the science fiction and horror B-movies of past decades, and it became a cult classic. I cannot imagine anyone playing that role better than Tim Curry. He had the moves, his singing could pass muster, and the lips. It was weird, it wasn't to everyone's taste, but for those who liked it, they really liked it.
That's mine, faithful hand in hand. He's just a little brought down because when you knocked, he thought you were the candy man. Don't get strung out by the way I look. Don't judge a book by its cover. I'm not much of a man by the light of day, but by night I'm one hell of a lover. I'm just a sweet transvestite from transsexual Transylvania. Let me show you a rhyme, maybe play you a sign. You look like you're both pretty groovy. Or if you want something visual that's not too abysmal, we could take in an old Steve Reeves movie.
I'm glad we caught you at home. Could we use your phone? We're both in a bit of a hurry.
Right.
We'll just say where we are, then go back to the car. We don't want to be any worry.
Well, you got caught with a flat world. How about that? Well, babies, don't you panic. By the light of the night, it'll all seem alright. I'll get you a satanic mechanic. I'm just a sweet transvestite from transsexual Transylvania. Why don't you stay for the night? Or maybe a bite.
My pals and I were big fans of The Who, especially Eki and Gibby. They had the Pete Townsend arm swing down pat. They nailed it. So when, in 1975, the movie Tommy was coming out in the theatre, we were up there to see it right away.
We are proud to announce a truly outstanding rock opera film, Tommy.
If I'm not using the table, he got beat the best. His disciples lead him in, and he just does the rest. He's got crazy flipper fingers, I've never seen him fall. That deaf, dumb, and blind kid sure plays me in pinball. Feel me, touch me. Come to me now. Come to me now.
Director Ken Russell and producer Robert Stigwood have made a film of Tommy and assembled some of the greatest names in music and the cinema. Tommy by The Who and based on the rock opera by Peter Townsend stars Anne Margaret, Oliver Reed, Jack Nicholson, Elton John, Eric Clapton, Tina Turner, Roger Daltrey as Tommy. Don't miss Tommy, the film. Your senses will never be the same again.
No wonder all of us teenagers were rushing off to the cinema. That was quite the build-up. I'm not sure if that's the American version. I don't remember us ever seeing anything quite that over the top, but that was it. And I will end this episode with an absolutely brilliant movie, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It was hilariously funny at moments. It was poignant. It was sad. It was very moving. Starring Jack Nicholson, Louise Fletcher, it was also produced by Michael Douglas. The music was created by Jack Nicholson. He's an American composer. In the 60s, he was Phil Spector's right-hand man. In the 70s, he worked with Neil Young and the Stones. He later went on to work on film scores such as The Exorcist, and he is responsible for the incredible opening and closing music. It's a chillingly beautiful and eerie piece, and a little obscure. Possibly it might mean more to people who did see the movie, but I think it's really lovely. Enjoy. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed that. If so, please come back and join me for episode 8 of What's On At Oor Hoose. Until then, take care.